Hello, friend. Mm, Welcome to our YouTube channel. Hope all of you are doing well in this lockdown period. Friends, tea, one of the uh, most consumed aromatic beverages throughout the world, and it's considered the second largest consumed beverage after water. And almost all of you are like to take tea to refresh ourselves, and tea has lots of health benefits also. So we are not going to discuss all those things today, but friends, do you ever think that the tea we used to prepare in our houses, in our kitchen, how it's come to our till the time it's come to our cup, what are the processes it's have to take, and what are the steps need to follow to prepare a tea so that we can consume the tea, or we can take our tea in a proper way. The tea till it's come to our cup, what are the steps it's going on, we'll discuss today. So let's have a look what are the processing steps it's required to prepare a good quality of tea. So today we will discuss different processing steps and the processing requirement required to make a good CTC black tea. So what is that CTC? CTC is crush, stir and curling. So we'll discuss later on what is the CTC actually and how this name CTC came. So my friends, tea is actually is manufactured or the coming from the plant that is called Camellia sinensis. So this is the plant actually. Actually, you should not call it plant. It's a bush, tea bush. Tea, it's not a tree, not a plant. So tea is actually called bush. Tea is actually non-alcoholic aromatic beverage, and there is a misconception that the different kind of tea is coming from different sources. Like there are various kind of tea. The types of tea we'll discuss in our next slides or in our next later on. So there is a misconception that the various kind of tea is coming from various sources or various bushes, or the raw material is different, but actually it is wrong. Tea is coming from all the tea. The leaf is coming from Camellia sinensis only. The difference is that the manufacturing or the processing difference. The processing steps is different. The processing requirement is different. The what are the various steps is different from various tea. So basically the processing steps make different tea, not the sources. The source is always the same. So please don't be misunderstand that different tea is coming from the different source. All the tea are coming from the same source only, that is Camellia sinensis. The quality of tea is governed by basically the crop quality, standard of plucking, the various post-harvest unit operations, means after plucking till the packaging, and even after the packaging also storage and all of the things. It depends the quality of tea the final consumer is going to get. So that's why the cultivation, harvesting and the post-harvesting steps need to be take care properly. So the tea plant or the tea bush, the temperature is required for a proper tea growth is 18 to 30 degrees centigrade, and leaf growth stops below 13 degrees centigrade and above 35 degrees centigrade. So that's why the Asian countries like India basically and China, these are the country are the top producer of tea, because in this country throughout the year you will find the temperature within this range. Then your next is your equatorial region grow in highlands in the range of 1000 to 3000 meters, and that's why you'll find in India northeastern Assam and the West Bengal Darjeeling is and some part of our southern states are the top producer of the tea. Then rainfall around 1115 mm if evenly distributed. So there is a thumb rule in tea garden that in the daytime there should be a sunny day, and after the evening, I mean the night time, there should be a rainfall. So this the general thumb rule weather, it's very good for tea cultivation. And normally tea people mean the people those are residing or dealing with the tea cultivation, they normally prefer this kind of cultivation, or I mean the weather condition. Then soil condition, it should be acidic soil. The pH should be within the range of 4 to 5.6. The good drainage quality should be there. That's why tea in elevated land in with the slope, it's good slopey for good drainage condition, and there should be a good water holding capacity. Good water holding capacity means there should not be water logged, but the soil should be in good condition to hold the water for the root zone. So the basic soil condition is required, that acidic soil, pH should be 4 to 5.6, then good drainage should be there, and water holding capacity should be very good. Then, as I told before, that there are various kind of tea, but the tea source of the leaf is always the same, that is the Camellia sinensis, but types of teas are different, kind of teas are there. So let's see what are the basic types of tea. CTC, the thing we will discuss today, that is basically CTC or black tea we used to consume in our day-to-day life, normally in India or the middle class people. Whatever we take, this group of people, whatever it is, that is the CTC tea, and this CTC is coming from the crush, tear and curd. Basically, after the leaf is crushing is going on first, then tearing, then curling. So that's why the tea name is CTC, crush, tear and curl, or it is also called black tea. Then orthodox tea, then your green tea, white tea and oolong tea. But I must clear you that there are all the types of tea we are not covering. These are basically the main, or you can say the major type of tea, but still there are number of type of teas are there, and all the types of tea depends on the processing parameter or the processing technique. So in India, CTC black tea is the most consumed when compared to other types of tea. As I told that in Indian condition, CTC black tea is the most consumed tea. So today we'll discuss the processing steps, what are the processing technique used to prepare the CTC black tea. So before going to the detailed processing technique, let's have a brief look on the health benefits of tea. It's an anti-carcinogenic activity like lung cancer, prostate cancer, breast cancer, skin cancer, stomach, pancreatic, all these things anti-carcinogenic benefits. Though it's not, we are not claiming that it's 100% medically proof, but some research oriented studies shows that teas have these kind of beneficial activity, like anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial properties like dental and oral disease, AIDS, and so those things. Then cardioprotective and neuroprotective properties like heart disease and all. So friends, let me clear that these are not medically proof, but some of the research and studies shows that these kind of benefit we may get from tea. But one thing we have to be clear, that this is not, this video what we are presenting right now here with you, that is not for medical purpose. We are just giving you a brief idea before we go into the processing technique. We'll discuss about the how the tea actually prepared in tea processing unit, so that it will be good for you, and you will be I feel that you will love to know that that the cup of tea which will take maximum 5 to 10 minutes to prepare in our kitchen, it's actually not like that. It's required lots of time, energy, human power, and other things while it's preparing in our processing units. So these are the flavonoids and other components in tea. Basically, tea leaves having moisture, it's around 75 to 80%, and solid content is 20 to 25%. And in solid, again, there are two types of solids are there, that is non-soluble in water and soluble in water. Then in non-soluble, again, there are soluble in oil and non-soluble in oil. So these are biological things. We will not that much discuss on these things. We will basically discuss the main funda or the main things we are going to discuss today, that is the processing of CTC black tea. What are the steps? So there are various steps. The first one is withering. Withering is a technical term. It's basically related to the CTC processing black tea. If you really want to know about this, what is withering, so I will refer you to follow one paper. The link is description is there in the in the link bar. That is the processing of CTC black tea by Dave and Pau in 2016. They published in the Journal of Biosystems Engineering. You can refer that paper. So the withering is basically the removal of moisture. In a general term, that is, I think, the best thing to explain. The withering is the removal of moisture. So before we going for further processing after the plucking of the tea and collect the tea leaves from the garden, it's required to eliminate the moisture from the leaves. So that's why withering is required. So again, next to withering, there is cutting of leaves. So that is done by one machine that is called rotor vane. We'll discuss in later on what is the rotor vane. Then after the cutting of leaf, there is maceration. In maceration only the CTC, the full terms is derived. I mean, the maceration is basically first you will crush the leaves in between two rollers. Then there is a curling, tearing, and then curling. Then the fermentation, drying, and sorting and grading, and fine. So now come to withering. Withering, as I told, the first and the foremost steps involved in tea manufacture, and there are two types of withering. One is physical withering and another is chemical withering. So various withering systems are there, namely trough withering, tunnel withering, tat withering, drum withering, whatever. So many types of withering practice are there. These withering practice, whatever I am telling in this point, like tough withering, tunnel withering, these all are physical withering. So we have to control the physical withering only. So withering, this is the way the withering is going on in open trough or in a closed trough. It's now again, why open trough and why closed trough? Open trough is when the weather condition is good, there is no rainy day, and there is no moisture or humidity is under control. So we can go for open trough withering, where the tea leaves will, the removal of the moisture from the tree leaves will be easier. Or in case if there is any rainy day and the humidity is very high, then you have to go for closed trough, so that we can use some hot air to remove the moisture from the leaves. Now again, I have to clear here that this physical withering we have to control, and we have to give the proper time to complete the chemical withering. So the chemical withering, it took around 12 to 14 hours. So we have to play with this time, so that the removal of moisture, that is the, suppose if 75% moisture, as I told, is there in tea leaves, and we have to bring down is up to 28 to 32%. So this removal we have to do within this time period. It should not be early, it should not be late, because if it is too early, then chemical withering will not fulfill, and if it is too late, then again there will be too much of chemical withering, then we will lose the health beneficial or the the qualitative agent of the tea leaves. So next to withering, there is the cutting of leaves. Equipment used for the cutting of tea leaves, it's called rotor vane. And rotor vane is the inside the rotor vane there is a vanes are fitted inside this rotor vanes. That's why it's called rotor vane. 11 vanes are there and 48 resistors. And the motor providing power the rotor vane, inside the rotor vane it's 20 HP and RPM is around 42, and leaf temperature is need to maintain within 32 degrees centigrade. So rotor vane is basically used for cutting of the leaf purpose. After the rotor vane there is called maceration. So these are the rollers are you set it after the rotor vane. Two set of roller are there. It's hammer anvil mechanism is actually going on. So in one roller one roller is used to hold the leaf and another roller is used to hammering the leaves. So that's why in this way, I mean that hammering, that is for crushing purpose, then the tearing and curling, that is CTC process is going on. So the main principal objective of leaf macer is to undertake for the self rupture, so that the whatever the chemicals inside the leaves will come out. So CTC machine, as I told, that is crushing, tearing and curling machine, and it consists two stainless steel and grooved rollers, and these rollers are matched closely and are made to rotate in opposite in direction at the speed of ratio of 1:10. So diameter of the roller varies between 20.3 centimeter to 20.95 centimeter. That was 8 inch to 8.25 inch. After the, so what are the requirements for good CTC tea? So before we going to the fermentation, the next step, let's discuss the some requirement. So these are the like good leaf, then optimum wither, speed of the rollers, correct setting of the rollers, sharpness of the teeth, temperature of the rolling loom, cleanliness. These are the things. So after maceration, before the fermentation, the macerated leaves pass through a googie. Googie is actually tea terminology, I should say. This is actually rotary shifter. So once we macerate the leaf, so googie is basically a rolling drum used to make the macerated leaf in granular in shape. So actually once we macerate the leaves, the fiber is coming out. Now this fiber, if you send to the drying, then it will get burned. So this fiber of the macerated leaf, we have to make the fiber as a converted this open fiber to the embroidered fiber. So that's why, and we have to make the granulars in form, because you have seen that CTC leaves teas are granular in form. So this googie is basically used. Then fermentation of tea is the most significant steps in tea processing. The fermentation process involves in oxidation of chemicals, and fermentation of leaves begins with its rolling. So fermentation chemistry, actually the fermentation is mainly depends on the conversion of TF to TR. Now this TF and TR is again a chemistry term. TF is thiaflavin and TR is thiabromines. So this conversion of TF to TR is again should be within the range. If you see this graph, so the formation of TF and TR, and again the formation of TR and degradation of TF, so these graphs should be within the optimum level, and that's why we need to set the fermentation time. This fermentation time is again depends on whether we will go for fermentation machine or we go for room fermentation or floor fermentation. But nowadays basically fermentation machine is basically using, see there is this called CFM, continuous fermentation machine, and earlier days there was floor fermentation. So this continuous fermentation machine, the bed is actually moving, and behind inside below the bed there are modules are there, and these modules are used to give a mist of oxygen and oxygen for the oxidation or fermentation purpose. So the movement of this bed or the time of the movement we have to decide. And during winter days the movement should be slower because the temperature is less in the environment, and during the summer days the movement should be fast because the temperature is in higher side. So these movement during summer and winter is ranging from 55 minutes to 110 minutes. So the 55 minutes is called fast fermentation, and 110 minutes is called the slow fermentation. So a continuous fermenting machine need to fulfill some basic requirement to give a better result. That is that the fermentation bed with standard supplied motor must be able to sustain the load of the macerated leaf, and that's why the macerated leaf should be properly or uniformly sprayed over the bed. The machine should be low height from the ground level so that a person involved and employed to check the fermentation, he can properly check. The belt on which the leaves are spreaded should not be made by any metal ion. Basically, these belts are made with nylon belt. There should not be any suitable feed conveyor for proper feeding and uniformly distribution. Air distribution should be uniform to facilitate at least 95% of RH or relative humidity, and there should be a proper management thing or proper arrangement to check the relative humidity, and periodic cleaning and maintenance is highly required to avoid any kind of contamination. So after the fermentation, the next step is drying. There are three essential requirements for proper firing. Firing here is actually the drying. That is the control temperature, then control rate of moisture evaporation, and control moisture content of final product. The final product moisture content, that is the final moisture content of the tea, it should be within the range of 2.5 to 3%. The basic function of drying actually to arrest the fermentation. The fermentation, if you are not send the fermented tea for the drying purpose, then the fermentation is still going on and we will lose everything like aroma, taste, chemical composition, everything lost. So basically the main logic and the main requirement of drying is to arrest the main function of drying is to arrest the fermentation. And fermented leaf carry around 65 to 70% of moisture. That moisture is need to dry them. There are basically two type of dryer used in our tea garden or tea processing unit. There is one is conventional dryer and another is FBD. FBD is fluidized bed dryer. So nowadays FBD is mostly used. This is the one schematic diagram of FBD. There is the heater and the hot air blower from outside, and the tea dhool, it's showing that the input of the tea. Then the plenum chamber. Plenum chamber is the hot steam is passing through this plenum chamber, and we will see that two dust extractor, and this dust extractor is to just remove the dust from the tea, and cyclone separator is there. Cyclone separator is basically for small particles, so that the small particles need not to travel throughout the bed, otherwise they will get burned. And last, finally, you will get the made tea. So merits of FBD over conventional dryer, that is merits of fluidized bed dryer over conventional dryer. So FBD requires less exhaust temperature compared to conventional dryer. Coal consumption is lower than conventional dryer, then less maintenance cost, and maintenance is easier than conventional dryer, and the overall it is easier to operate and wear and tear in less because the mechanical arrangement is very much more in conventional dryer than FBD. So that's why FBD or fluidized bed dryer is most used nowadays in our tea processing units. Then factor responsible for drying process, that is temperature of air, volume of the air, period of drying, and mass transfer. These things we have to check and monitor and control properly. Temperature of air should not be too high, should not be too less, because if it is too high, then tea will get burned. If it is too low, there will be moisture in the final product. Then again, same way in the volume of the air. Then period of drying. The period of drying should not be too less, should not be too high. Same thing, because if it is too high period, I mean the more, then there will be chances of burning, and if it is too less, then there will be chances of having the moisture in the final product. Then mass transfer. The mass transfer means the fermented leaf from the CFM to continuous fermenting machine to dryer should be sent in a uniform way. Then after the drying, the next step, the second last step, that is the sorting and grading. Sorting is the mechanical process. Earlier it was believed that sorting did not require the equal management. Main objective of sorting is to classify the tea according to size, shape, specific gravity and the surface characteristics. Today, sorting is an equal important factor in order to produce tea which will be accepted to the buyers and the blenders. So for sorting purpose, tea industries is using pan-weld screen sorter, that is PSS machine. And next to the sorting, the final step is the packing. It is necessary to pack in suitable containers so that its quality does not deteriorate. Bulk packing containers should be fed from a hopper at a regular rate. Tea should never be forced down by hand to save the bloom loss. Bloom loss means quality loss, you can say. And then CTC teas made from underweather teas are likely to be damaged more unless handled carefully. Tea should contain, when it is packed, preferably not more than 3%, because if it is more than 3%, then again we have to send it for drying purpose, that is called gapping. Basically, if the moisture of tea is going above the 3%, you should not pack it and you should send for its gapping purpose. Gapping is that re-drying in a less temperature, but that is deteriorate the quality of the tea and bloom loss we may face. So thank you guys, and thanks for watching this video. If you have any query, you can put in comment section. We'll try to resolve your doubts. Hope you enjoy the videos. Please like, share and subscribe our channel, and see you soon. Thank you.